greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to Marathon Day, and today we've got a viewer's request asked by a few people, and we're going to look at Man today. Now, Man are a rock band formed in 1968 in Merthyr Tydfil, South Wales. The original lineup was Mickey Jones guitar and vocals, Deke Leonard on guitar and vocals, Ray Williams bass, Jeff Jones on the drums, and Clive John on the keyboards. They started off being a bit psychedelic rock scene, but they developed this elements of rock, prog, blues, jazz, and they have produced 17 albums, believe it or not. So we're going to crack on with it today because it is a large one. So, coming in at number 17, we have an album released in 2009, and it doesn't feature any of the original members, and it's the first to feature the new drummer, Reanimated Memories, and it's called Kingdom of Noise. So you've got Josh Ace on guitar and vocals, Alan Murdoch guitar, Phil Ryan keyboards, Martin Ace on the bass, and Rini Raval on drums, and Bob Richards does some drums as well. Shadow of the Hand is the first track. It's okay, I wouldn't say it's a classic Man track, but it's pleasant enough. Steal the World's very middle of the road. Not what I expect, you didn't expect from Man. I've never heard this album until I did this. Ice Flowers, I like the piano work on it. It's probably the best track on the album. Then we get Russian Roulette, very funky, but it's not rock or prog or psychedelic. It's Kingdom of Noise. It's all right. One of the better songs on the album. Standing in the Rain, I just couldn't really recollect it. It doesn't sound nothing like the original sort of Man. Speak, it's not too bad. Nice vocal. Chuffing Like a Muffin, it's quite humorous. I don't mind that one. Dissolve into the Despair. This has got a bossa nova feel to it. It's quite good, actually. This album, it just lacks something. It's not very memorable. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 16 from the year 2000, Endangered Species. On here we've got Mickey Jones, Deke Leonard, Martin Ace, Bob Richards, Phil Ryan. We've got Dave Charles on percussion. First track on here is Conflict of Interest. Interesting start, but it's got some really nice guitars on this. I don't mind this one. Stuck Behind the Pope-mobile. Good little rocker. This is one of my favourite tracks off the album. The vocal is a very strong vocal again. I think it helps when you've got Mickey and Dickie, or Decky, whatever you want to pronounce his name. It's really good. Saints and Sinners, probably one of the worst tracks Man ever recorded. It's pretty weak and limp. Face to Face, though, is my favourite track on here. It's got one of the best guitar solos on the album. It's pretty solid. Hanging On. It really goes away from what Man started out being. It's not bad, but it's not Man to me. Tie Up the Wind, very AOR this is. Or yacht rock, whatever you want to call it, very wishy-washy. Victim of Love. It's got some good riffs on it. It's one of the better tracks on the album. Love Isn't Love. I don't mind this. Some of the riffs on this, it's a good vocal. It's not a bad track to end the album. Yeah, there's a couple of tracks on here that are not too bad. But I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 15 from 1976, we have the Welsh Connection. There's one track on here called Something Happening, was sampled on the Break the Bank single by rapper Schoolboy, believe it or not. So playing on here is Mickey Jones Deaky Leonard, Phil Ryan, John McKenzie is on back bass and vocals, and Terry Williams. First track on here is called The Ride and the View. It's the best track on the album. It's a real good rock. I love the vocal on this. Up next is Out of Your Head. This is a real strange track. It's not rocky, it's not proggy, it's not jazzy, psychedelic. It's somewhere in the middle, and I'm not very keen on it. Love Can Find a Way. This has got to be the worst track on the album. The bass line's alright, but the music is a weird track. I'm not a big fan of that. The Welsh Connection itself, it's actually a bit of a funk track, and it's too long. It seems to be go round in circles. Something is happening. It's a jazz sort of thing, but it seems to drag out. The piano's great, but that's about it. Cartoon, too long, it's a bit disjointed, it's not the best thing on the album. And Born to the Future, it's very wishy-washy. I just don't like the track at all. It was the last track on the album. Now, to be quite honest, for one of their earlier albums, this is one of the worst ones. It's very confusing. I don't know what was going on in the Man camp, but there isn't no identity with this album. But the house have a couple of good tracks on it, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, coming in at number 14 from the year 2002. Undrugged. Now, the album was recorded in 2 separate sessions 5 years apart with a different lineups. So, all the people playing on, you got Mickey Jones on guitar and vocals, Deaky Leonard on guitar and keyboards, Gareth Thornton on piano and synthesizer, Martin Ace on bass, Terry Williams drums on here as well, Bob Richards drums on here. So the first track is called Scotch Corner. This isn't too bad. I think this has got Terry Williams on the drums, and he's got that great sound. It's not too bad. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. It's okay. It's got some nice harmony singing on that one. Then we have I've Always Thought the Walrus was Protected. It's okay. It's got a bit of that Buddy Holly sound to it. That diddle 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 diddle. I quite like that. It's not too bad. My favourite on here is Dream Away. It's a very gentle track with a nice vocal. Super track. Manilo. I like this one. The bass line and the piano work very well together. It's a pretty solid track. Asylum, another good track. Written by Mickey Jones. It's really good. Great drumming on that one. Trying to Get You is next. This is not a bad cover of an Elvis song. They do a decent version of it. Listen to Me Sister. Rock and roll. Love the guitar. And then they do a version of Georgia on My Mind. It's probably the worst version of the song I've ever heard. Then they do Sail on Sailor, which is a Beach Boys track off the album Holland. It's not a particular favourite track by the Beach Boys, but I think they've done a decent version of it. And the last track is Day and Night, and I just love the intricate guitar work on it. It isn't a bad album, actually. It's got some really good tracks on it, but some of the covers are a little bit ooh dear dear. But I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 13 from 2006. Diamond and Coal. No originals on here. We've got George Jones on guitars and vocals, Josh Ace on guitars, Gareth Thornton on the organ, Martin Ace on bass, and Bob Richards on the drums, with Alan Richards doing some percussion. So the first track is the title track, Diamonds and Coal. Great track. One of the best on the album. The guitar and harmonies are really good. Some solid drumming from Bob on that. All Alone, another good little track. I love the combination of that Hammond organ and the guitar riffs. Very good. Freedom Fries. I like this. It's got the Gretsch guitar. It sounds, you know it's a Gretsch. It's got that very Dwayne Eddy feel to it. And it's probably why it's my favourite track. Twisting the Knife, another really good track. I love the riff and the keyboards again. Great combination, wonderful vocal on that as well. Man of Misery, not too bad. It's got some nice acoustic guitar on that. Welsh Girl, second favourite track on here. It's really got that 60s feel to it as well, and it's pretty decent. Thank God it's not Miss Cathy. Not a favourite of mine. It plods and goes round in circles. Teddy Boy's Picnic. Very short track, but it's a rock and rolly type number, and it's got a nice tone to it. When You've Got Something to Hold, mediocre. It's got that last track on the album, Syndrome. Now this has got some really good tracks on it. I'm quite impressed with this one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7 from 2015, Reanimated Memories. James Beck on lead guitar and vocals now, Josh Ace on rhythm guitar, Phil Ryan on piano and all keyboards, Martin Ace on bass, and Rennie Rohan on drums. And guest star on this is BJ Cole, and guess what he's playing? Of course, yes, the pedal steel guitar. First track on here is The Ballad of Billy Lee. This is one of them storytelling country songs. I like the vocal. And there's no original members on it, but we do have BJ Cole doing some pedal steel guitar. Next track is No Solution. Certainly got more of a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers feel to it, and that's probably why I like the track. In Time. I don't mind this track. It's quite long, it's 10 minutes, but halfway through it does go off on some tangent, which I didn't think was necessary, but it does come back into the main structure of the song. Then we have We Know. Again, it's a lovely little track. It's got a nice country steel guitar from BJ Cole. Don't mind this. One More Ride on the Waltzers. I know it's not. It's the new incarnation of Man, but it's a pretty decent track. I don't mind it. Ordinary Man is a long, ambling song. It doesn't do much for me. God Delusion. It's okay. It's not spectacular. Got No Money in My Pocket. I really like this track. It's got a real good beat to it. You know, after the last couple of Dower tracks, you needed something with a bit of gumph, and that is it. But my favourite track on this one is called Nothing Fails Like Success. It's a bluesy rock track with some lovely slide guitar on it. It's excellent. Then we have The Events of Yesterday. It's got a nice melody to it, but that's about it. All the Birds. The guitar works all right, but it does plod along. Yet another album with some really good tracks on it. But I wouldn't say it's the best, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2, purely on the good tracks. Okay, coming in at number 11 from 2019, Anachronism Tango. James Beck on lead guitar, Josh Ace guitars, Martin Ace vocals, and Rennie Roban on drums. First track is called Too Much Too Soon. One of my favourite tracks on here. I love the start of this. It's that really good. It's a great guitar riff as well. Still in Love and Trembling. Good little rocker this is. Nothing wrong with that one. Pretty solid. Manor Farm. I love this track. I love the keyboard. It's got a great guitar solo from James Beck as well. The Holy Flame of Freedom is next. Very mediocre. Not very memorable. Yeah, it's not very good at all. Walking on a Tightrope with Nowhere to Fall. Got a 60s feel. You remember the guitar track Sleepwalk? It just sounds like that. Brilliant. Isaac Newton's Gravitational Shuffle. A great little rock and roll shuffle, and I don't mind that one either. To Sing Rave On, basic rock and roll. It's great. Halfway Up the Hill. My favourite track on here. Again, it's that bluesy guitar on it. Some great guitar work. Change of Sleep. A very non-memorable track, as I say. Special Education. Don't like the vocal. It really sounds flat. It's not a bad tune, though. This is their most current album. It's a half decent album actually, and if this is the last thing, we've gone out on a pretty good height, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, we're moving to the top 10. We're now going into proper man territory. So coming in at number 10, 11th album. It's the second since they reformed in '83, and it's called Call Down the Moon. On here is Mickey Jones on guitar and vocals, Deke Leonard on keyboards and guitars, Martin Ace on bass, John Weathers is on the drums on this one, and guitars. Right, first track is the title track, Call Down the Moon. It is my favourite track on here. I love the guitar work here from Mickey and Deke. Very solid start. If I Were You, I love John Weathers' drum on this. Really solid sound as well. Dream Away, great bluesy number. I love Martin's bass line on this. It's an excellent track. It's bluesy and that bass line is super. Blackout, a nice little rock and roll number. Love the beat to this. The Man with X-Ray Eyes, not a big fan of this. Very 80s middle of the road. Pretty shocking really. Heaven and Hell comes next. Great track. I love the guitar work on this. Good drumming as well. Good all-round track on that one is. The Girl Is in Trouble, another favourite for me. I love that basic piano, and then the bass on top of it really gives it a little different sound to it. Then we got the epic 12-minute 20 Driving Around. Split into two halves. You get the more gentle and melodic start. It's quiet, and then all of a sudden the rocky bit comes in and just takes it away. It's got a really good solo on it as well. And the last track, Burn My Working Clothes, sort of a busking track. It's a bit of a white elephant on the album. It's pretty decent. Okay, for an 80s album, it's not too bad. There's one track that's a bit 80s, but the rest of it's pretty solid. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.7. Time for a drink, I think. Okay, coming in at number 9, we got the 10th album, the first to be released after their reformation in 1983, and it's called the Twang Dynasty. It was the first album that featured drummer John Weathers, of course, was with Gentle Giant. So Mickey Jones is on here, Deke's on here, Martin Ace is on here. The first track is A Feather of Scales of Justice. Great song, absolutely killer track, great guitar riffs, one of my favourite tracks on the album. It's an absolutely belter to open up the album. Man on Her is another solid track. The bass line for Martin is terrific. I really like that one. Jumping Like a Kangaroo, these are all good rockers. The guitar work between Mickey and Deke are very, very good. They really add to it on that one. The Chimes at Midnight, my favourite track on there. It's got an incredible solo, and the drumming for Mr. Weathers is fantastic. Excellent track. The Price, it's a melodic rock track. It's not too bad at all. Circumstances is next. Mr. Leonard and Mr. Jones do very good guitar work on there. Their interplay is fantastic. It's such a great track. The Chinese Cut, the drumming from John on here is the highlight. It really works. Some great little bass bits as well. Excellent. Out of the Darkness. They're cranking out some great tracks on this. Very consistent and another solid track. Fast and Dangerous. My second favourite track on the album. It's a boogie sort of feel. Nice shuffled drumming. Really good. The Wings of Mercy. Absolutely belter album. Track to end this wonderful album. Just pure gold, and the whole album is so good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.8. Hey then, coming in at number 8. It's the 7th album from 1973. It's the first album after the departure of Clyde John. Now it's a double album. First album is a studio album which was recorded at the Rockfields Studios, Chipping Norton, and some of it was recorded in London. It's got 2 different lineups, and then the second album is a live album. So side 1, the lineup is Mickey Jones on guitar, Phil Ryan on keyboards, Will Ewart on the bass, and Terry Williams on the drums. So the first track is called A Night in a Dad's Bag. Really trippy, quirky little track. I love the bass and the keyboards is excellent on that. Just For You, right funky this is. It's got a great bass line from Will Ewart. The guitar work for Mickey is super on this. Great track. Back Into the Future, a solid track. Great vocal on this, and the keyboards once again from Phil are super. Then Don't Go Away. This is a little bit pastiche in places. It's not a bad track. So side 2 is another studio, but it's a different lineup. You've got Mickey Jones on guitars and vocals. We've now got Alan Lewis on guitar, joining Phil Ryan, Will Ewart, and Terry Williams. So side 2 starts off with a track called Ain't There Fight. One of my favourite tracks on here. It's got a really good rocker. The effects are good. Excellent track. And then we've got Never Say Nups to Nepalese. The Nepalese. Love this. One of my favourite tracks on the album. It's that quirky keyboard from Phil that really does it. So side 3 is a live. And it starts off with this oddball called So Pan Fat. And it sounds like it's a Welsh male choir thing. It doesn't work. And then we have a 19-minute of Come On. Doesn't think. And then side 2 is taken up by Jam Up Jelly Tight, Oh No, Not Again. Spunk Rock 73. It's just too long and it's boring. Okay, I love the first album, the first album, the studio stuff. It's killer. But the live album is a bit, because it's just boring. So I'm going to mark this more on just the studio album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we've got the 9th album from 1974, and it is called Slow Motion. It was the only album recorded by this lineup. Malcolm Morley, having left the day before recording was due, and he was not replaced. So the album was recorded by the 4 remaining members: Mickey Jones, Dacre Leonard, Ken Wiley on bass, and Terry Williams on the drums. So the first track is Hard Way to Die. I love this. The keyboards are really good. The electric piano sounds good. So a good track to start off with. Grasshopper, a nice gentle long. I love the bass line on this Ken. Rock and Roll You Out, a great track, my favourite on the album. It's a shuffle boogie track. I love it. You Don't Like Us, good old fashioned rock track, some great riffs on that one. Solid track. Bedtime Bone, a very melodic track. It's great. I love how it works up as well. One More Chance, love the start of this. It's gentle guitar, then it goes into a right rocker. Rainbow Eyes, it's alright. It's not the best track on here. And Day and Night, it's got a country sound to it, and it's pretty solid. This is a very good album. Some solid tracks on here. Love listening to this album. I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay then, coming in at number 6. The 6th album from 1972. Be Good to Yourself at Least Once a Day. Classic lineup. Mickey Jones on guitars, Clive John guitars, Phil Ryan keyboards, Will Ewart on bass, Terry Williams on drums, and on pedal steel guitar, the one and only Mr. Dave Edmunds. First track is Come On. Now, it's 11 minutes long and it's good. It's really trippy. I love the pedal guitar, steel guitar from Dave Edmunds. It's a lot better than the 19-minute live version. It's really good. Keep On Crinting. Excellent guitar work here between Mickey and Clive. Phil's keyboards are superb as usual. It's got a lovely tone to it. Then we have Bananas. Love the vocals on this. It's got a really solid track. Terry's drumming is fantastic. But my favourite track on here is the last track, Life on the Road. The guitar work between Clive and Mickey is super. It's a rock and roll track. This is a classic album from Man. Some solid tracks on it. Not a bad track on this. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the third album, released in 1971. It's the first lineup of Man, because Terry Williams has replaced Jeff Jones and Martin Ace replaced Ray Williams. So it's Mickey Jones, Roger Leonard, as it's quoted on here, Clive John, Martin Ace and Terry Williams. First track on here is called Romaine. It's the coolest start of any Man album. The guitar work between Mickey and Dickie is brilliant. I love it. Country Girl. It's a country song, but it's really nice. I like that one. Would the Christians wait 5 minutes? The Lions are having a draw. Ace. It's a long track. It's got some nice guitar at the beginning. I like how the tempo changes in it as well. Then we got The Daughter of the Fireplace. Excellent track. Some great drumming on here from Terry. Good track. Alchemist. Probably the most psychedelic, dreamy tracks on this album. I really enjoyed this. It is so groovy and you just lose yourself. A good album, but a strange one at the same time. It's got some great rockers, some boogie, and then you've got this spacey, psychedelic track at the end. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 4 from 1974, Rhinos, Winos and Lunatics. Mickey Jones, Dickie Leonard, got Malcolm Morley on guitar on here, Ken Whaley on bass and Terry Williams on the drums. Taking the easy way out again. I love this. Terry is brilliant on this. His drumming is superb. The Thunder and Lightning Kid. Got a little bit of cowbell in there. Pretty solid. Got the guitar work is good. Californian Silks and Satins. Probably the weakest track on here, but it has got some nice acoustic guitar in it to give it a little bit of difference. 4 Day Louise, drumming from Terry is good. The guitar work from Mickey and Dickie are very good as well. Intro. It's a little slow little bit that goes into the track Kerosene. Really good track. Nice guitar effects. I love on the pedals. Very intricate, very good. Then we have Scotch Corner, my favourite track on here. Funky in places, got a great bass line. And then next, this is sort of a proggy, psychedelic track to end the track, just like the other album we talked about. It's another good solid album, and you've got that prog and psychedelic stuff to it. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay, coming in at number 3 is the 4th album from 1971. They really released lots of albums in the early 70s, and it's called Do You Like It Here, Now You're Settling In. So this is, as it says on the cover, Michael Jones, Roger Leonard, Clive John, Martin Ace and Terry Williams. Angel Easy, a very good track. It's a boogie track. The guitar on here from Mr. Jones and Mr. Leonard is fantastic as ever. All good fun. I like this. About halfway through, you get this sort of choke on the guitars, and then a little bit of piano comes in, and it's Terry's drum beat that just keeps the track going. We're Only Children, one of my favourite tracks on here. I love the guitar. It's very psychedelic, and I love it. Brilliant track. Many are called, but the few get up. Quirky songs. It's 7 minutes, but it never seems 7 minutes. It's got some great guitar work from both of them. But my favourite track on here is Manillo. Probably the best track on one of my favourite tracks by the band. It's got one of the best guitar solos on, and it's probably got some of Terry's best drumming. Love Your Life, a stunning, great track to end the album with. The solo in the middle is so good. It doesn't seem like a 9-minute track, it just flows wonderfully. Super album. This is, every track is killer on this. Love listening to this. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Okay, coming in at number 2. Now this was tough. These top 3 were always going to be tough. But I've gone with their debut album from '69, Revelation. So it's Mike Jones, Roger Leonard, Clive John, Jeff Jones and Ray Williams. The first track is called And in the Beginning. I love the dramatic sound of this. I like the sort of psychedelic guitar. It's an excellent track. Sudden Life. The guitar riff is brilliant. It's got a great solo on it as well. Then we get Empty Moon. This reminds me of the early Jefferson era aeroplane stuff. So it's great psychedelic rock. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Puella, Woman, Woman. Really sort of early Pink Floyd sound. The keyboard on this from Clive John is fantastic. Really love that track. Love. It's an acoustic track. Very nice. Very pastiche. Erotica. This is quite erotic. Lots of moan and groans on here. Various things going on. We'll leave it at that. Blind Man. Excellent track. I love the piano and the guitars. It's a bit of a rock and roll thing. Lovely track. And then we have the Castles Rise in Children's Eyes. I like this, how this starts. It's a short track, but it goes into 2 or 3 phases. You get the middle piece really is groovy, and then it settles down again. My favourite track though is Don't Just Stand There, Come Out of the Rain. I love the keyboards, that Hammond organ from Clive John, the guitars, that crossover between the rock and prog works well on there. The missing pieces, bit of a marching band thing going there, don't know what's going on there, one of the oddballs on the album. And then the last track, The Future Hides Its Face. Very psychedelic, but absolutely critical to this album. It's wonderful. A great debut album. It's got a couple of oddballs on it, but it's a pretty solid album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. But my number 1 album is their second album and the second one they released in 1969. And I love the title. It's 2 Ounces of Plastic with a Hole in the Middle. Same lineup: Michael, Roger, Clive, Ray, Jeff, and Plug on drums on Paramount and Candles. Yes. So you get this track. It's called The Storm, and you get this little prelude, sort of builds it in Storm. It's a brilliant. You get the intro is fantastic. It's stormy, and then you get this lovely dreamy guitar, lots of vocal harmonies on it. It is such a brilliant track to open the album. It is as it must be. Love the opening riff there. The guitar's got so much distortion on it, and then you get some delicate guitar on it. Side 2 opens up with Spunk Box. Great pieces of notes. It's mostly instrumental, but it's an absolute killer. There's some sort of vocally bits going on in there. My Name is Jesus Smith. I love the lyrics to this. It's really interesting track. And then you get this little short track called Paramount Parchment and Candles. It's a very short sort of pastiche with a lovely bit of guitar. My Brother Arnold's Red and White Striped Tent. This is my favourite track on here. It's the last track. I love the Hammond organ. It just reminds me of early Deep Purple on their first 3 albums. It's absolutely great. The guitar work is brilliant. It's just a fantastic track to end the album. I think this is a brilliant album. It's a very underrated album. It's one of the best of the 1960s. The lyrics are on it are crazy. The musicianship on this is brilliant. And some of it is like just playing it as a jam session more than anything. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.3. So there we go. There's a bit of Man. Great band. Very underrated. There's so many underrated rock bands that come out of Wales. Budgie and these are 2 of the fine examples. Okay, that's all for today, but we'll be back tomorrow. It's a busy old day. We're going to start off with 2 birthday top 10s, one for Jodie, one for Stephen. Then we've got the last quarter final of Battle Royale between New Order and David Bowie. And then we're painting by numbers, and I'm going to be looking at some of the album artwork of African musician Fela Kuti. Big day tomorrow, so we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.